the beginning of another. Yeah. So if I may, because my voice isn't that great, I started in show business when I was 4, after I had been adopted by 2 people who were old enough to be my grandparents. I was born in 1929, and 2 months before the fall of all of the big crash, let's put it that way, which I think I caused. Anyway, my mother died, having the last child, and here I am with 2 people who were old enough to be my grandparents, and money to be made, but on top of that, my mother was the most delightful, annoying mother that you could ever have, because I was going to be somebody. I kept thinking I was somebody, but she kept saying, "You're gonna be somebody." So she started me on tap dancing. The first movie that I did was at Warner Brothers. I played a fairy in Midsummer Night's Dream. And then I was in the series Our Gang, and I learned how to tap dance. I have wonderful teachers here, and I went to a girls' school, so I really didn't know anybody. It just was work. And that's not bad. That is not bad. So I grew up and did work with Elizabeth Taylor, Marilyn Monroe, the Lone Ranger, all of these people. But the exciting thing happened to me was I met a young man at a TV station. I had a show called Teleteen Reporter, where I was introducing high schoolers who could do some kind of special number and entertain the people. This was when it was, as a matter of fact, we were on Channel 13 that didn't even have the number 13 in. W6XAO was the number. And one day I'm doing my thing, and I'm called over by the manager, who wants me to meet this nice man who has graduated from USC, and he was looking for a job afterwards because he had been in World War, in the Army, I don't know, 4 years, 5
3 years.
3 years. And then he had come back, and so he could go to USC and graduate. And one of his situations was he belonged to a society of guys over there, and they were looking to find also some young ladies who would come and sit with them at the dinner when they graduated. And I turned out to be one of them, but because of him, and there were a couple of other reasons. He thought I was darn cute.
You're still darn cute.
Yeah.
On TV, the screen that big, you know, the one you walked around with, see whether you could get a signal. And he was watching, the wrestling matches and the boxing and, you know, all the real interesting stuff. But he saw me on TV. So while he was asking whether there was any work, a career to go ahead with TV, he mentioned that he would like to meet me. So we met, and I did not know what to do with him. I had never dated anyone in my entire life because I never could get near any boys. When you work in the movies, you have a mother who watches you like a hawk, you know. I said, "Is that a boy?" She'd say, "Yes." I said, "Okay." And then here I go. You know, this kind of thing. But he was darling, he was sweet, he was kind. So I think we dated about 12 to 15 times. And we went to the farmer's market for lunch. That was our first date. And my mother would see us drive up in the car, and we had a Venetian blind on our dining room that looked out on the street right over here on Irving Boulevard and Larchmont area. And you would see the blinds open up like that. She was checking on it. My dad, everybody's great. So anyway, he said to me one day, "I've got to go get a job, a real job, because you didn't walk up to somebody on the campus who was looking to hire you. You had to go out. We women had messed up everything. working for the war, right? So the poor guys came back. So he got a job with Mobil Oil, and he had to go his way, and I had to go my way. I was working at ABC, the Almost Broadcasting Company, and then I finished that show, and I did you don't know it because they lost film. They only have 4 films with, it was called The Charlie Ruggles Show.
Oh.
And we did 127 of those shows each week.
There's only 4 that exist.
They're on YouTube.
They're called the Ruggles. It was, and we would do the first show. We would do the show. They would fine. We would stop. We'd change our clothes. We'd go to the Brown Derby and have dinner. Come back and do the second show because they had no way of putting this on anything else.
And you would do live commercials even with pets, like dog food commercials with dogs
Yeah,
there.
we had our commercials there. So I'm doing that, and I get a call. Now I'm going over at the assistant dance director at Fox on a wonderful movie, I'll Get By. And I get a call from my agent who says, can you take a day off because there's somebody who's wants to interview you for a 3.5-inch sprite who doesn't talk. And I said, I can't. I mean, we're going to do the big show, and Gloria DeHaven doesn't know how to dance, so, I stand in front, and she tries to follow it. And she said, well, you really should go. No, I said, I don't think. She said, it's at Disney. I said, Disney, I'll be there at 6 a.m. And sure enough, I go up and I meet Mark Davis, and he brings down another director on it, and they're asking me to do the pantomime for Tinkerbell. And it was then, and I don't know, it was either then or the following week, he said, would it be convenient for you to come to work next Tuesday? Ladies and gentlemen, no one had ever asked me whether it was convenient to come to work. So I said, I can't. We'll be doing the shoot. He said, all right, would you like to come the next day? We could set up in there. He was going to hire me. So I said, okay, which I did. And I came over, I think I came at 6 a.m. in the morning to see whether they were going to let me in. Because the reputation of Disney Studios to work here was A-OK. Everybody loved it. Some of the others, RKO, that I had to work out, were very strange. Anyway, I meet Mark Davis, this dear, wonderful man, and he has a little sketch of a little cherub that's up there, and we talk about it, and what he's going to do and how he's going to fix it. And I get to this, they do my hair up. I'm sorry, I've got the job now. And they do my hair up, and I wear my bathing suit, my own bathing suit, so that they can see the outline of the body. You all know that they filmed it because we did not have electricity, I think. I'm not sure, but anyway, everything that I did. So I remember this, and then I'm getting back to this story quickly. I think I'm taking too much time.
No, you're good.
But I walked up to the table, the desk where Mark was, and said, Mr. Davis. Now that's how long ago it was. You called people Mr. and Mrs. Does that give you an idea? And I said, Mr. Davis, and he says, what is it, Miss Margaret? And I said, what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be ditzy like Betty Boop? Or do you want it to be above it all like Queen of the Fairies? And he said, Margaret, we want her to be you. And I said, gosh golly, I think I can do that. So he never changed anything I did. Her walk is a ballet dancer's walk. Every move that she makes is a ballet dancer, which if you don't know it, you realize that she's set apart from what the other walks are. And I went, and then he said, would it be convenient? Oh no, I did that. So anyway, 9 months I came and working on TV at the same time. I like TV a lot more than movies, so I finally moved into that. And in the meantime, I lost contact with his man. So this was just contact. and then I got all the other things that I was doing, the Andy Griffith Show, et cetera, et cetera. And one day, I get an email, and it's from Europe. Go
Amsterdam.
and make it short.
Okay.
Here you go.
You want me to tell the story?
Yeah.
Tag, you're it.
All right, well, we were having a good time in Amsterdam, getting acquainted with the city.
Why?
Beautiful city.
Why? Why were you over there?
And went there for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. Having served in World War II for, well, three years, a little over 3 years. And so it was important to me to see the 75th anniversary of D-Day, go to Omaha Beach, see the beach area again, the cliff. If any of you looked at the pictures of Omaha Beach, the beach is over here on the left, over here is the cliffs. Anyway, that's what I went over for, and very much interested in seeing the sites of all the different battles up and down the coast of from Holland on south to France. So we were driving around
In Amsterdam, ahead of the time.
Amsterdam, and we saw the sign. I saw this sign. I said, "Well, that's
stop.
Tinkerbell's Toys."
That's what it said.
And I said, "I've got to tell you, that
Toys.
I used to date Tinkerbell." And so they wanted to send her an email. And I said, "Well, you can send her an email, but she won't remember me because I haven't seen her or talked to her for 70 plus years.
Oh my
So
God.
we're gonna send it anyway." So I said, "Well, that's fine." So we got down to Omaha Beach, and here was an email back from Margaret, and she said, "I certainly do remember Bob. Matter of fact, I still have the bracelet he gave me 70-some years ago." And so I called her from Omaha Beach. And
Don't you think I was impressed?
we talked briefly, and as soon as she answered the telephone, found out who it was, she said, "Could we get married?" That was the way
I
it
was
worked.
20 years a widow. So I was set to be a widow. That was the way, and I was working in all the things that I worked for Disney on the Club and all the shows and so. But this wonderful voice of his, I was fascinated. And
So then we talked about it and said, "Well, let's
he
get
lived on
together."
the East Coast, by the way.
Right, and I said, "I'll be coming home soon, I'll give you a call when I get home, and we'll find a way to get together." So we did find several ways to get together.
And
Margaret came traipsing out to West Coast. I was living in Hilton Head at that time. So she came out and came to Hilton Head, and we reacquainted ourselves to that. So one more time, then she asked me to marry her, and I said,
no, I didn't. No, I
"Our stores
didn't.
get diversions going here."
Oh, no. So anyway, I called him up and I said, "I'm going to be in North Carolina." I was on the Andy Griffith Show, and I was going to be a headliner in a thing that they do up in Mount Airy. Thank you. In Mount Airy, and which is a wonderful thing. And I said, "Can you get up there?" And he said, "Well, I don't know where it is, and I have to have my 94th birthday party first." I said, "Okay." So 3 weeks later, he drove up 8 hours to some place that he did not know where it was.
I walked into a private golf club up there, which is where they were
That's where
having
we
a
met.
dinner for the big celebration up there. And when I walked in, why, Margaret was about as far away from me, as the wall over there, maybe 12, 15, 20 feet maybe. We saw each other, and even though it had been 70 years, she recognized me immediately, and I recognized her. And I have to say that we didn't wait. We rushed. We walked pretty fast toward each other, and I put my arms around her.
Yes, you did.
And there was a press person there from Mount Airy, and he had a camera, and he said, "Kiss her." So I gave her a kiss. Yeah. And that picture turned out to be on the front page of the newspaper the next day. So we spent, what, 4 days then?
Well, the
there?
interesting part to me was that happened after that. He had never seen Peter Pan. He had never seen the Andy Griffith Show. He had never seen anything I had acted in, or maybe 1 or 2 things through the years. And it was 70 years since we had seen each other. So, but he got right in and helped because I was one of the big people on the show, dancing and so on. So we went to get breakfast the next morning at a
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel. And so I'm sitting there, now listen to this. He says, okay, there we go. I don't, stand up, sweetheart, I just want to make sure.
Right, sure.
So he said, I've got to buy you a new house. How do you start with that, right? And I said, what? And he said, but it has to be by a Costco. I shop at Costco. So to make everything light and gay, I said, wait a minute, are you telling me you're a member of Costco? He said, yes. You have a Costco card? He said, yes. You'll let me use your Costco card? He said, yes. I said, will you marry me? And he said, we'll settle that all down. So, 7 months later,
Yeah,
or not-
right.
about that, I found that the little church in the valley here was open for Valentine's Day.
And
And
President
we went-
Reagan, Nancy,
That's
Mary
right,
Ann,
and we-
you would, yes.
And the people that I worked with for 12 years on Christian talk radio, they came and we had a singer there. And then Disney opened up its doors because what's it called? That sickness that you had to,
COVID.
COVID was striking.
I remember COVID.
So then we had a party, and then we were married, and everybody was around, and then we ended up at the barn, right? And I don't know, about 400 people came to see whether he was okay. And off we went to Sarasota in Florida, that's where he chose, bought a house, drove me to the house after we got off the airplane the next day, and it's gorgeous, it's just beautiful. And then he said the real crazy words to me. Are you ready? It's late and I'm sure you're hungry, I'll fix you dinner. He cooks.
Margaret, I think you remember the song from his fraternity at USC, associated with that bracelet. Do you still remember that song?
ACACI, great to the black and gold. Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So I thought